Hi guys, yeah, it's been a while, I know, but it's been a sort of like really weird few months. I'm doing a video mainly because there's not a lot else to do, as you can all imagine, but anyway, this might end up being a long video or a few small ones. We'll wait and see. Yeah, no, so what's kind of been happening with me is since coming back from my America trip, it was a bit of a wake-up call for doing the sort of like right thing in the, you know, one, eating a lot more healthier, because I ate a lot of burger and fries and things, so I'm looking at changing my diet a lot. I've experimented over the last few months with different things and stuff, so but I think I've kind of come to what I feel happy with, and also sort of some lifestyle changes. So I've decided to be a lot more greener, and so I'm slowly going through the process of trying to find stuff that is a lot more environmentally friendly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this video in two parts, I think. First part, I'll talk about my Route 66 trip, and then the second part I'll talk about what have done, am doing and will do to try and be a lot more environmentally friendly. Route 66, I did it over September. I ended up going along with my mum because she has like grown up with it. You know, she's a fair bit old, and she kind of grew up in the area where Route 66 was kind of a big deal. So yeah, so we did it over. We were out there for 28 days. We spent 26 days on Route 66 itself. The reason why we did that is because we kind of wanted to, yeah, because on the route itself I heard a lot of people saying, oh, we're doing it in 2 weeks, and I did kind of, when I first looked at doing Route 66, I briefly did look at that, because there are some sort of packages you can do where or have been able to do in the past, packages where you can do it over sort of like 14 or 16 days. But for me, that is just particularly if you're doing it just yourselves, it's too exhausting, because you've got to bear in mind that it's 2,500 miles, and to do that in 2 weeks, if you're wanting to do it on Route 66 itself, it's not sort of like the interstate speeds. So, and yeah, because it's on sort of the smaller roads, so you've got to really bear in mind that you know how much you want to see on the route and stuff, because if there's a place that you want to see, you've got to bear in mind that it's going to take you a lot longer, and do you really want to be getting to your next hotel or motel at sort of like 10 o'clock at night? Do you want to kind of like pace it really nicely and see and experience and talk to people a lot more? So yeah, that's why we did it over the actual sort of 26 days. But you know, we still did miss stuff, because I think a lot of people did the same sort of thing as we did, which was after leaving Chicago, their first night stop was Springfield, Illinois, and there were a couple of places where we literally just flew through because that looked really interesting, and I want to go back to them, but you know, because we were on a timetable, we had to get to, you know, we wanted to definitely see certain places, but you know, as you drive through, you think, oh, this is really cool. But yeah, so my advice is is to, you know, I would say at least 25-day trip. Because what you'll probably also find is that as you get further west, particularly sort of like the Arizona, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, the bits and bobs that you want to see are a lot further spread out, so it is a lot easier to get to them. And also, it's a lot more interstate. There's not a lot of the actual road left in those sort of places, so you can travel a bit quicker along those. But yeah, so that's kind of my advice to people. You know, try and avoid to do it in 2 weeks, because I believe you'll miss a fair bit. You'll end up having to catch up on the interstate, and you'll need a holiday after your holiday, because you'll be absolutely exhausted. Because there were some that, I mean, I was splitting the driving. I preferred to drive a lot more, but we did split the driving, but I still felt exhausted after some of the days because of, you know, the amount of driving. But yeah, so that is kind of my advice there. Another thing is that if you come to a place and you stop at a place and someone says or a local says about, you know, you should check this place out, do it. Because there were a couple of times where we came across, you know, we went somewhere, we were kind of like, okay, we're planning to do this, and they're like, oh, why don't you check this out as well? And we did that as well, and it was the best thing ever to check those places out. So yeah, I would recommend local knowledge as a nice sort of extra. So I'd say plan, but don't, you know, plan, but leave room for on the spare of the moment sort of things. Because yeah, there's a few, I think it was like 3 or 4 places that we were suggested to go, and we went, and it was just brilliant. So yeah, local knowledge, keep some room on your itinerary for nice surprises and stuff. Yeah, on the trip, the other thing that we tried to do was to eat at the mum and pup sort of cafes and restaurants and things, just purely because in the UK now I try and avoid chains as much as possible. So we did that in the UK on the Route 66 trip, and you know, because I just preferred their friendly and fun atmosphere of like smaller businesses, and it's also helping a small business out because they're a dying sort of breed, as it were. But I think there was only 2, maybe 3 occasions where we had no choice but to eat a chain. But I did also research it, and they were kind of like state chains. It wasn't like a national or international chain. It was like they only had sort of like 10 restaurants or something. So yeah, that I could kind of live with. But yeah, so on our trip I had far too much junk food, and when I got back to the UK I was basically told I need to kind of improve my diet. I did explain to the doctor that it wasn't that far up, since I'd been to the States, and that's probably what it was, but it was a bit of a shock. So yeah, I would say, yeah, burger and fries on Route 66 is cool, but try not to have it as often as I did, because yeah, I got a slap on the wrist. But yeah, and another thing that that is the thing that changed my opinion about how to live my life was the fact that whenever we were at motels, and that we were having breakfast at, it was, you had like cereal and stuff and that, but they gave you sort of like polystyrene bowls and plates and plastic knives and forks, and that really, really upset me because of the amount of plastic that, you hear a lot about people say, you shouldn't use plastic and stuff, but it just astonished me that, like if you go to a motel or hotel in the UK that provides breakfast, it's on China. All the places I've been, it's been on China, and you have metal knives and forks. So I really don't understand why they don't do that in the States. But yeah, and another thing that really annoyed me was when I was going into some of the shops in the States, and with your shopping, if you didn't have your own bags or whatever, they would put it in a plastic bag for free, but you had to pay for a paper bag, which I just thought was silly. But yeah, anyway, that's my rant over about the negative side and stuff. But I think that's just generally in the rest of America, to be honest. But yeah, it was hard going a few times, but it was a real good adventure. So yeah, so I recommend, once all this chaos is over with the coronavirus, I definitely recommend people do a trip on Route 66. Yeah, I'm kind of like thinking of doing another trip on Route 66, which will take a lot longer, but it's going to take a lot of planning, because I'm contemplating on walking it, but I need to kind of investigate it a bit more, because it will take me longer than 90 days. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed that part. Second part is just coming up. The changes that I've made to sort of like my lifestyle and stuff is I'm only driving if I absolutely have to. As in, I can walk up into the centre of town. It takes me about 45 minutes to walk it. So, if I'm needing to go up into town and it's stuff that I can easily carry myself, I'll walk. But if it's bigger stuff or a lot of stuff that will not be easy to carry, then I'll drive. But yeah, so that's one thing I've changed. The other thing, I've also changed gym, because the gym that I used to go to was like the other side of town, and yeah, it's just a bit of a pain to get to, so I was having to drive there. And recently another gym's opened up, which is less than a 10-minute walk from my house, so I've joined that one and I'm enjoying it, or I have enjoyed it. I haven't been there since the government suggested about minimising your social interaction, because I have asthma. I'm a high risk, so I haven't been there for a few days now. It's a bit annoying, but I'm gonna try and figure out how to do exercises at home. So I've seen some funny videos, but I probably won't do some of those, but I'll figure out my own. Anyway, so the other thing I've done is I looked at changing my diet because I absolutely love meat, but the problem that I have is sort of like the sort of like food miles thing, you know, where my meats come from and stuff. So I did look at kind of like being completely meat free, so looking at like vegetarian and vegan stuff. It's really, really nice, but I ended up kind of cheating and having meat every so often because but the one thing that, since obviously America I've cut down on is red meat, but I really do enjoy like vegan and vegetarian food, so you could kind of almost call me a flexitarian. So that's kind of what I'm doing with my diet these days, and I do feel a hell of a lot better about it. Also, along with the meat is that we're basically checking to see how far away it's come as well. So it's like to help the smaller businesses, because I'm just sick and tired of these like big like national or international businesses that are just killing the local shops. And where I live on the East Coast in East Anglia, it's just killing the high street and stuff. So I try my best to support local businesses where I can. So that's other stuff that I've been doing, just to reduce the miles and things. But so down to the sort of other stuff. So what things have I personally done? Well, when I've been running out of stuff, particularly when it comes to like bathroom things. So the first thing I did was my toothbrush needed changing. So I did some looking online about environmental toothbrushes, and people were saying, that don't know a lot about, they were just saying, oh, why don't you try this? They were saying, why don't you have an electric toothbrush? Years and years and years ago, when they kind of first were a popular thing, I did try electric toothbrush. I just couldn't get on with it. And what people forget is that the heads on the electric toothbrushes are plastic, and you have to change those quite often. Plus, you're using electricity. So I've always used a hand one. I did some research online, and the best thing I could find was these bamboo. So these bamboo toothbrushes. They're quite easy to buy. I've been doing a bit more research on these because I was like, yeah, these are good. And then when I had a look, you can probably see that these. Don't know if it's in focus. Yeah. Anyway, so these are kind of like a polymer looking thing, and I was like, can these be biodegraded safely, and are they good for the environment? And I had a look on the packet, because I was like, what are these? I thought this was like going to be all bamboo or whatever. But so it says BPA-free polymer bristles. So I did a bit of research online again with that. And that that's a bit inconclusive, but you know, it's a lot more environmentally friendly and less plastic than what I was using before. So yeah, so I'm happy that I've made that change. And it was a bit weird to at first thinking I'm sticking wood in my mouth and am I going to get splints and stuff, but I haven't. I've been using them for a while now and they're fine. So that happened. There was also, like, whenever I was going to shops, and you know, a lot of like bookshops and stuff, they sell sort of like carrier bags, you know, like cotton ones. I've been buying a lot of those, you know, as I've been going to shop. So when it comes to shopping, so yeah, these are, you know, reusable carrier bags. So yeah, I've got another one here. One of my favourite bookshops in London. I won't advertise them, but they're a very good travel bookshop. Yeah, so I've done that, and then the other thing was, you know, the whole thing with the famous fast food restaurant where they changed their straws. They, on a recent trip to Germany, they haven't done it in Germany, but they've done it in the UK, where they changed from plastic to like these horrible paper straws. Yeah, so that's just stupid. But yeah, I would say, because it's still rubbish, because when I'm walking to the town, I still see that rubbish on the floor. It's, you know, it would be helpful if it was in the bins, but it's, yeah, anyway, I won't go into it, but it's just really annoying. But where I work, they have these metal straws that are stainless steel. I think I got it in a pack of 4. So now whenever I travel, I've got one of these, and it comes with its own sort of like straw cleaner, so you know, you can clean it yourself. I am at some point gonna, for particularly my next trip abroad, where I'm not 100% sure, you know, if places are gonna, you know, say if I go back to the States again, if I go to a motel, that does breakfast, I'll take my own plate, bowl and cutlery with me. So I'm currently looking into ones that, you know, there's several out there. I just need to find the information out for myself. And last but not least, shaving. Because you know, the like multi-blade razors that you get these days, it's just plastic, and you know, you're throwing it away, and you know, that's just really bad. So I did do a bit of research into it, and there were 2 razor blade or razors that came out. There's the sort of like barbershop cutthroat razor, and there's the one that I ended up with is this one. It's the single blade razor, and when I looked on this website about it, they said to kind of discuss it with your barber. So I did, and he suggested not to do the barbershop cutthroat razor, particularly on yourself, because there are certain points where you can't actually see what you're doing. So yeah, so he suggested this one, which is like really, really good. It's all metal, so all you do to change the blade is, if you can still hear me, is you twiddle the thing on the bottom, and then it opens up like that, if you can see that, and then you just change you just pick up the pick up the first blade and change. It's just one of these. You've probably seen these in the films and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've done so far. The one thing with those razors I'd say is that it's a lot different to the multi-blade razor, because obviously they have all those like springs and something that is like, so when you first start using it, just go gentle, and just, you basically almost have to relearn to shave, because you have to be, because yeah, you will cut yourself. I did a few times when I first had a go, but yeah, just take it easy. Just, it's almost like relearn, but you'll be fine after a few times. But like I say, there's no plastic. And the next thing that I'm looking into is shampoo. A friend of mine who's into kind of like being environmentally friendly and stuff had suggested these soap bars. So once I've run out of what I've got, I'm going, unfortunately I don't think there's any shops in my town that sell them, so I'm going to have to travel a bit further afield. But before I do that, I'm going to and also when the chaos is finished, I'm going to find out where I can get some, if I can get some in this town. So anyway, that's what I've done so far. If you've got any questions on Route 66 or being environment friendly, just let me know and I'll try and answer them in my next video. Okay, bye.